He has placed no hardship for you in religion, and would add, if anything other than God had said to us, He has placed no hardship for you in religion, it would fill us with happiness and joy. So what about if it is the speech of the precious and infinitely wise, al-Aziz, al-Rahim, al-Hakim? In the past, they imagined I was singing their praises, when it was really your praise, O God, that I meant. Whereas the Imam of this way, Sahal ibn Abdullah al-Tustari radiallahu anhu, said, for 40 years, I have been speaking with God, and people have thought I was speaking with them. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Michael Abdurrahman Fitzgerald, and I'm one of the co-translators, along with my dear friend Fouad Aresmouk, of a newly published work by Fons Vitae titled KANZ AL-ASRAR. Let me hold this up. KANZ AL-ASRAR means a treasure of mysteries, and it's subtitled Mulay al Arabi and some of his goodly companions as seen through the eyes of a loving disciple. A loving disciple was a man named Muhammad Buziyan, al-Askari, who came to the Mother Zawiya in northeastern Morocco in around 1802 with a caravan from Muaskar, which is this hometown in the middle of the Algerian desert. And he came there as a young man, probably in his 20s, as part of a caravan of about 120 men, women, and children who came to spend about a week with Sheikh al-Darqawi. And when the caravan was ready to return to Muaskar, Buziyan went to his muqaddam and said to him, he wanted to say to him, I'm not quite ready to go, I'm to travel again. And instead, the muqaddam said to him, look, why don't you stay here a little bit longer and rest and spend some more time with your father and my father, by which they meant Sheikh al-Darqawi. So that little bit of more time actually became 20 years. He stayed there, served the Sheikh, learned from him, and became actually one of the scribes who wrote the letters of the Sheikh al-Darqawi that were sent out to surrounding zawiyas. And at the end of that period, that ended with the passing away of Sheikh al-Darqawi, rahimahullah, in 1820. So Buziyan was an eyewitness to this gifted and amazing spiritual teacher. And he saw him in his dealings with people, and the way he made dhikr, the way he prayed the prayer, and the way he dealt with the problems, and in all sorts of circumstances. And when the Sheikh passed away, he wanted to start a book that would sort of collect his memories. And so this is the book. Yep. And this book, KANZ AL-ASRAR, has been almost a legendary title for about 150 years. It existed in manuscripts here and there. They were about library. But it was never edited, it was never published. And just coincidentally, when we sort of started on our translation, which was about 3 or 4 years ago, a man we knew who was part of the Zawiya Basiriya, Beni Malal, started an Arabic edition of it. So we didn't know he was working on this. He didn't know we were working on a translation. It was one of those coincidences, and it's recounted in the introduction to our translation. This is the Arabic edition, which was very clear and easy to read, and with copious footnotes. So what we find in KANZ AL-ASRAR, the translation, it's an eyewitness of one of the most gifted spiritual masters and teachers of all time. And it's also a chronicle of daily life in a mountain zawiya, pre-modern Morocco. And it's also sort of the inner sharing of a person who had found something in his early 20s that was transformative to his life. And so these things are combined in KANZ AL-ASRAR, and they're interspersed and interwoven with passages of spiritual teaching from the Sheikh al-Darqawi himself, from other Sufi sources, and they're they're woven into a sort of a beautiful pattern. The book is, I should also say that this color is one of the earliest manuscripts. It was artfully sort of restored and brought into color and by C.D. Abdul-Latif Whiteman, who is a very gifted book designer and graphic artist who lives in Orgiba, Spain. And it's amazing because the manuscript, if you look at it, it's very hard to read and very faded. But he brought even the colors back. I'd like to just end this brief commentary on it with a passage from the book. And this is about Sheikh al-Darqawi and his attitude or his relationship to the deen, the religion itself, Islam. This is what he told Buziyan, and Buziyan wrote himself. He said he, Sheikh al-Darqawi, used to dislike severity towards God's servants. He himself would make things easy and simple for them and give them glad tidings, and would say, my teacher, by whom he met Sidi Ali Jamal, the amazing Fesi Sheikh, he said to him, when you see someone making things difficult for God's servants, making their journey narrow, and threatening them with what causes them distress, you should take the opposite view. Oppose his words and promise them what makes them joyful, and God will make what you promise come to pass. And affirm what you say, or words similar to these. And such was his way in respect to devotional practices. He, the Sheikh, would not task people with anything that caused them hardship, nor with practices beyond their strength to perform, nor tell them anything that might lead them to think that they were safe from God's planning, nor anything that would cause them to despair of God's mercy. Rather, he would direct them to the middle way in all things, without excess, without deficiency, without extravagance or stinting. And he quotes the Quran, and between them is a just balance. And he would say, it is for us to accomplish the means and for God to lift the veils. He would discourage his followers from going too deeply into the details of formal practice, that is to say fiqh, or from trying to impose upon themselves hardships and devotions that were beyond their capacity. And he would always quote as evidence the words of the Prophet ﷺ, I and the pious of my community have nothing to do with takalluf. And the word takalluf just means taking on too much. And he would also say, anything which gentleness enters is beautified. And many other such sayings. He would recite the words of God, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he has placed no hardship for you, in religion, and would add, if anything other than God had said to us, He has placed no hardship for you in religion, it would fill us with happiness and joy. So what about if it is the speech of the precious and infinitely wise, al-Aziz, al-Rahim, al-Hakim, the one whom naught is like, and He is the hearer and the seer. But you should not understand from this that the Shaykh al-Darqawi himself was weak or lazy or lax concerning deen. Rather, by God, he was a person of fervor and effort who maintained the obligatory, the sunnah, the recitation of litanies, who followed the law without taking license, and bade anyone who followed him to keep the sunnah. This included the call to prayer, the iqamah, and to offer the prayer in congregation at each of its times, to stand in the first row and to keep the rows straight, to offer the prayer of greeting upon entering the mosque, and the early morning prayer, salat al-duha, the supererogatory prayer a short time before dawn. He lived his whole life turned towards God, in communion with God, and speaking with God, even though people around him might have been unaware of these perceptions and ignorant of these words. And this is Buziyan quoting a poet. In the past, they imagined I was singing their praises, when it was really your praise, O God, that I meant. Whereas the Imam of this way, Sahal ibn Abdullah at-Tustari radiallahu anhu, said, for 40 years, I have been speaking with God, and people have thought I was speaking with them. So, may Allah be pleased with Shaykh al-Darqawi, those companions, and all those teachers who have left us something, and may He make us and you, put us and you in His path, and have mercy upon us always, in our days and our nights, in our movements and their rest. وصلى الله على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون، والسلام على المرسلين، والحمد لله رب العالمين.